Hi, I'm Robert Simoes from the Debate Network, and today I have the debate topic of if the U.S. puts boots on the ground in Iran, a U.S. defeat is only a matter of time. The affirmative argument? Unfortunately, yes. The U.S. record for wars in the Mideast and Asia since World War II is not at all impressive. Korea, stalemate. 3 years technically it went on, it still hasn't ended. Vietnam, 13 years, 58,000 troops killed, 300,000 wounded. Iraq, another loss. 18 years, 4,500 killed, 32,000 wounded. Afghanistan, 20 years, 2,500 dead, 20,000 wounded. 1,129 NATO troops killed from countries like the UK, 453, Canada, 158, and amongst others like Italy, France, Germany. NATO did come to the U.S. defense after 9/11, which Trump either ignores or likes to insult. Now, not all losses. The U.S. has won a couple of engagements, Panama and Grenada. And I bet you most of you didn't even know it happened. One of the reasons, the second reason this is going to be a failure is there's no political buy-in, unfortunately. I mean, every other prior war the U.S. has gotten into, even the last Gulf War, there was buy-in by the U.S. public to the tune of 70%. Less than a third support this war. It doesn't have the interest of the public when they see problems at home with inflation, housing. They don't want to be in another foreign war that's just taking money out of their pockets. They see their health care, health insurance, food supplement plans, school lunch programs, all being cut. The public is now facing a 33% increase in the price of energy in just a few weeks. And most U.S. citizens are living paycheck to paycheck. But sure, let's spend an additional $200 billion on a foreign war, which is not in the U.S. or world's interest. $200 billion more on top of the military's annual budget of $1 trillion. Now, they say, well, we need this $200 billion to replace munitions. You're almost out of munitions in 4 weeks? What have you been doing with all this money that has been paid by the American taxpayer to supporting the military? Might I point out to people that Iran's military budget in 2024 was $10 billion. That was their entire budget. They doubled it last year after the threats to $20 billion. This war is not in the economic interest of the U.S. citizens at all. The third reason that the U.S. is not going to win this war is that once casualties or a draft, which is going to be needed if you land troops, to control Iran, you're going to need ground troops. Once that occurs, the public's going to turn against this. And why will they land ground troops? Well, as I said, they're running out of munitions. Precision bombs and ordnance are very expensive. Ground troops are not. The terrain in Iran totally works against U.S. troops as it's all mountainous. And Iran controls the high ground. And if you're wondering, well, how important that is, watch the history of Gallipoli. Watch the movie. The Turks annihilated the British forces because they had the high ground. In any event, I don't mean to paint a picture of doom and gloom. I don't want to see any U.S. troops hurt. I don't want to see civilians hurt. I don't want to see any of that. But the U.S. is walking into another Vietnam. The thing, too, is the administration. The other problem with this and why it's going to fail is the administration has not been able to garner support because they can't explain why they're there. Israel was going to attack, so we had to get involved because we were afraid of retaliation. Missile and nuclear weapons, even though supposedly the nuclear weapons were obliterated last June, Regime change. Oh, okay. So now you're saying it's for regime change. Protect the protesters that occurred. Well, that's a novel idea, but unfortunately what you're doing is you're bombing Tehran, which is where all the protesters were to begin with. So you're bombing the people that were protesting the regime. They sponsor terrorism. Well, yes, they do. You're right. But a lot of countries also sponsor terrorism, and we're not bombing them today at this second, are we? One final thought. The administration in the U.S. was presented the military assessment of taking the Straits of Hormuz. They said the strait would be closed. Their analysis said that the Iranians would act like this. If you listen to Professors Sachs, Zhang, Mersheimer, Deason, all of them predicted this is exactly what the Iranians would do. Now, unfortunately, the U.S. has only two possible choices to get out of this. The first one is just turn around and head home. In other words, accept the loss and get out. Leave the Middle East. It's not your background. Why is American troops, treasure being sent there? To defend who? Israel? Oil interests? Exactly what? The second thing is you're going to have to, if you want to end this, you're going to have to land troops. That's your only other option. You're not going to bomb them into submission. That's never worked in history. You're going to have to land troops. And just like in Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam, you're going to have casualties. Lots of casualties. Controversial debates are what we encourage on the debate network. Disagree with the U.S. losing? Don't hide in the comments. Come and debate with me. Live at the debate network. Civil debate. Real people. Thanks. Have a great day.